Well, first of all, let me say good afternoon to members of the media, and I do apologize for being a few minutes late, but we have to rush down to the airport to have they had an urgent meeting with the staff today, and as a result of that, I asked for the Sumner, the organizer, to let them know that we'll be coming down to hear what they have to discuss with them. You may or may not be aware that around about September 12, 2016, the staff have been given offer letters from Project Code to sign. The date for this letters of employment to be signed was today, the 27th day of September 2016. We met with our members last week Monday, and we met last week Monday, which would have been the 19th of September. We met with them again yesterday, which would have been the 26th of September. Very concerned about some of the conditions in that letter from Project Code. We do recognize that right now there is no agreement between Project Code and the BIU government. That I think agreement is supposed to take place when the House reconvenes in November of this year, but the staff are being asked to sign these offer letters. So naturally enough, there are some issues in there that are very concerning to us, particularly as relates to under the employment date. The staff are being told on the employment date that their employment is not being transferred to Project Code. They're also being told in the date, the employment date letter, that the years of service will not be transferred to Project Code. This will mean that if the employer is not going to be, Project Code is not going to be accepting their employment, that means the government needs to give them some kind of severance package. Now, I do understand that they've had a few meetings with the staff over the past 9 months or so, 9 months to a year, and I knew that Brother Sumner, as the organizer, was involved in a couple of meetings concerning the staff going over to work for Project Code, and there are some things that they have put on the table, particularly as it relates to vacations, other benefits, I think pay, and also they have put on in the project, in the statement of employment, that once they sign over, I think this is number 18 of the statement of employment, there is no collective bargaining agreement to which this employment contract relates. So right now the agreement is between the municipal government and the BIU. We actually only have about 10 members down at the airport. But we're still very concerned that there is no agreement between the government and Project Code, and we can't understand why these offer letters have to be signed by today. Particularly as it relates to, we do understand that under the Employment Act 2000, and I'm not trying to be at a place, but I think you need to understand exactly what's there. There's no transfer of undertaking from one employer to another. So whilst we've had a few of situations over the past maybe 2 years or so, a couple of situations that Bermuda Telephone Company, where we had that company has transferred ownership twice, and they've actually taken those employees on, and they've taken their years of service on. Just recently this year, I think in 2016, Menzies took over from Renaissance at the airport, and they've agreed to honor the CBA that we had with Renaissance. So these kind of things, even though there is no transfer undertaken as relates to the law of the land, as relates to the Employment Act 2000, there are employers who have been doing the right thing as relates to the employees that have been working for that company. So we were a bit surprised, because up until yesterday, the years of service for the staff down the airport was not being honored by Project Code. I can tell you that I just left the airport, as I said a moment ago, and having discussions with some of the BPSU members and the BPSU rep is present, along with Brother Sumner as the second vice president, Brother Glenn as the first vice president, and Brother Arnold Smith as the research officer, and myself. I know that the Project Code management team have agreed now that they're going to take the employees' years of service, so they're not going to lose their years of service. Because what was being said to them, the staff had to sign those letters by today, and if they didn't sign them by today, that would mean that they weren't interested in accepting employment. The two main concerns that we had up until yesterday, two main concerns, and there are other concerns, but two main concerns as relates to this offer letter was that there is no agreement with the government saying that this is a done deal, so you can go ahead and sign working for Project Code. The other concern that we had was the servants paid, their years of service was not going to be honored. And it would appear that they've now reconsidered that, and they're now going to honor their years of service by those employees that want to transfer over to Project Code, their years of service will be honored. This is something that will be ongoing. The date of the day will, of course, will be stood down. Exactly when they're going to ask for new date at this point in time, I have no idea. Whether it's going to be a month down the road, 2 weeks down the road, I certainly have no idea about that. But certainly, sitting in that meeting this afternoon, Mr. Adderley is doing what he can to try to protect his staff down at the airport. He's not trying to leave them hanging out there alone by themselves. So he's doing what he can to try to make sure that their employment, because naturally enough, we do understand that people are concerned about their employment. And we are very concerned about their employment. Recognizing that there is no final agreement with and I think we all know that there's an airport project hanging out there somewhere. And I guess you're probably wondering, well, why are we in the dilemma that we're in right now? And that was our point exactly to Project Code. So having said that, I think I've been as brief as I possibly can. I'll entertain any questions that you have.
From Project Code, because the person in charge of the human resources there, from what I understand, advised the BIU that the project is structured by a contractual mechanism, and you know the rest of it. Something that the union takes issue with?
Well, yeah, because recognizing that, if you look at the initial letter of offer, it clearly states that under the employment date, it says in the first sentence, it's important to note that this offer of employment with Project Code and it's not a transfer. They're letting you know there's not a transfer. It's not a transfer from the government to Project Code. That apparently has changed as of today. They're now saying that the employees are going to be allowed to transfer now to Project Code and be paid severance.
So is there going to be continued talks with Project Code to address some of the other issues that you've highlighted?
Well, all I can say to you is I think that based on my conversation that we had today is that there are some other concerns that are being addressed. And hopefully, these letters of employment are now going to be changed. And once they've been changed and updated, then we'll sit down and see whether or not there are other things that need to be addressed. Certainly, from BIU's perspective, we're still very concerned about the overall project, the airport project. We're still very concerned about that. We've also got to be able to remind that we've got members down there that are concerned about their employment. And so we're trying to make sure that, we're trying to balance this, if you want to call it that, it's kind of like a balancing act right now. Because the BIU has been very vocal about the airport project. So I don't want people to think that we're not all agreeing that the airport project can go here. That's not what we're saying. So we're not saying that, absolutely not.
They have indicated that today was the deadline, as you stated, and has that been pushed back?
Yes, it is. Yes, it has.
Has a new date been given? Because
No.
they were saying that November 30th is the time that the period by which the contract with the government should be signed off on.
Well, no new date has been given, and you're right, because there is a sentence in the letter that was sent back to me by the human resource person from ACON Concessions that this is they talked about the date, and the date has to be as it relates to which requires the simultaneous agreement, signing and closing of the deal on the same effective date. So when I read that statement, I'm thinking that you mean about the government is going to be signing today, then you should be signing your contract of employment today. And since you're not signing the contract of employment today, or you're not signing the agreement today, why are we signing the contract of employment? So there are two issues here, and they should be working in tandem with each other.
So failure to sign today would not be seen by the company as a refusal of the job offer?
No. It's not the way they're taking it. They understand our legitimate concerns that they have about people's years of service. I think that they've taken that point on. I think Mr. Adderley, by the time we reached on the airport, that issue was being addressed as relates to years of service and length of service. And what was going to happen to someone's service if they signed today to work for Project Code, what was going to happen to their years of service? Because as we told them, once you sign the dotted line, that means that the government now has no more responsibility for you, and you're signing away your years of service. And we want to make sure that everybody understood that, so nobody will come another week or a month down the road and say, well, I didn't understand that's what that meant. We try to make it crystal clear to our members that if you sign that document with knowing full well that was what's in the current offer now, if you sign that, that means you're signing away your years of service that you have with the government. And you should not sign that, and that's why they agreed. last week Monday that they weren't gonna sign, and up until yesterday, they still agreed to not gonna sign, and as of this moment, they're still not signing until things are put correct, in the correct manner that they think they should be in. Any further questions?
So would it be possible for us in the meeting to get hold of copies of the job off of that?
No. Can't get that. It's got people's names on it, and we're not trying to, throw anybody
Yeah,
under the
yeah.
bus. And because these are statement of employment that's being offered to everybody, until there's a final statement of employment that's being offered, then you can see them. But all I can tell you that, they're fairly standard clauses that's in them as relates to, they have policy, they have company policy, they have the benefits that's going to be offered to the staff in there, so it's fairly standard.
So can
If
I
you know,
just check
if you know anything about a statement of employment, if you've seen one in the past, it don't differ too much in the statement of employment.
So it was sent out on September 12th, and it was for employment.
This is September 12th. This one's dated September 12th.
Yeah, and it was for employment to start on December 1st.
Employment to start as of on or about December 1st. That's correct.
All right.